Live the home selling dream. Call Rock in the KW Selling Team. Go to the KWSellingTeam.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Brock Fletcher from the Selling Team with Keller Williams Real Estate Company. Thanks for tuning in. Most of you probably don't know Mark Klemish from our team. He's been on our team for about, what, four years?
4 years.
4 years
yeah,
now?
4 years.
So Mark's been on our team for 4 years. He's a buyer specialist on our team. If you've had the privilege of working with him, you know how kind Mark is. In another life, Mark was actually the mascot for the Lions. Rory, our very own Rory. And so I thought it'd be fun to do a little interview with the Lions doing so well and we're rolling into the playoffs. Mark, how did you become Rory?
Try to make a long story short. Basically, I had a friend that was with the organization at the time. Okay. He asked me for his assistance down on the field sometimes for some game day promotions. One time I wore a turkey costume. Actually, a couple times I did that for the Thanksgiving game. And that evolved into the Dunkin' Donuts race.
Really?
You've probably seen
like
that.
Cup of Joe or whatever?
Cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, it used to be an animated race on the screens at the Tigers games. I know the Lions used to do it. They came up with the idea of having costumes and doing it live, and I wanted in on that.
Oh yeah.
And so I decided I chose Cup of Coffee. We did the Dunkin' Donuts race. We did it a season or two, I believe, before I became Rory. But I absolutely love, there's nothing funner than being in a costume and you can be as ridiculous as you want and nobody can see your face, you know? We have some great stories doing the Dunkin' Donuts race. I got my brother involved at the time. Some other friends did it. One time we did get a little in trouble for it being a little too violent. We turned it into a wrestling match, like a WWE match down on the field. It was pretty awesome, though. And then eventually I started working alongside the gentleman who did Rory before me. And, because they have somebody walking around with them with a headset so they know where to be and you're kind of a bouncer.
Sure.
And I basically made the comment, I love what he does. And I said, hey, if Jeff, who was at the time, he did Rory for about 20 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. I said, if Jeff ever thought about retiring, I'd love to step in.
So what year was your first year?
I think we're looking at like 2006, I believe. I brought home the costume. I put it on for my infant child at the time. He just had a confused look on his face at the time.
So how many years then were you Rory then?
I did it for about 5 years. About 2006 to 2011, I think, is the time period.
Yeah,
I believe.
And you had the infamous
0-16 record. Yeah, I'm the 0-16 Rory. It was an interesting season. Everybody loves Rory out there. That season in particular, the season started out okay, as far as the love I received from the fans and stuff and whatnot in the stands. By about 3/4 through the season, people started to turn on you a little bit. So we had to be a little bit more careful going into the stands, interacting with fans and whatnot. So, it's a little bit of padding in there, so I am protected from some punches and some hair grabs and stuff like that. So
I got to ask, what was, if you can boil it down to like the best moment, what was the best moment being Rory?
A lot of people talk about, they get excited for the games. Sure. Let me tell you, the games are such a small part of what the mascot does. It's a lot more public relations.
Sure.
The games are fun. It's a long day. You're in the costume for about 8 hours. It's 120 degrees, sweat rolling down.
Wow.
But I would say the most rewarding part of doing that was working with children. And I used to do a couple events. One would be at the Children's Hospital in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And there's another one called the Fantasy Flight at Detroit Metro.
Okay.
They'd put sick children on a plane, roll them around the tarmac. They'd come back, and it was like a flight to the North Pole. They'd get off the plane.
Oh, really?
Amazing work with the kids. I would say, especially in Ann Arbor at the Children's Hospital, you're really grateful for the mask that you're wearing because you do start to welt up. You start to tear. It's really sad, but man, the looks on the kids' faces, it's amazing. It's really magical what a giant overstuffed cartoonish lion in a costume can do for a child. Yeah.
And we didn't practice saying these questions before, so this is, I'm hearing this the same that you are. That's really awesome. I kind of was expecting like a game day or like the Taylor Swift thing or whatever, but that's pretty impactful. I got to ask the question, PG version, obviously. What was the I don't want to say worst, but maybe it was worse, maybe it was the most difficult. What was that most difficult experience? If it can boil down to one moment, what would that be for us as Rory?
One of the ones I tell the story of the season of 0-16. Occasionally you'd go out in the crowds, somebody'd yell out, tell Rory where to go. And the rest of the crowd would, have Rory's back and basically boo that person. Where we noticed, like I said, 3/4 through the season, the attitude started to change a little bit. I do recall somebody telling Rory where to go from the stands, and instead of getting boos, this person got cheers. And then we realized that we had to be a little bit more vigilant when we were out in the crowd doing, handshakes and high fives, because a lot less of those going on during that season. So it was a tough season. It was a very tough season.
So they, basically the fans were taking out on you on a weekly basis.
They couldn't touch anybody on the field, but they could get a hold of Rory.
Gosh.
Yeah. So it's great what they're doing now. I mean, it is total change. I love watching them on TV. It's amazing. A lot of it's got to do converting 3rd and 4th downs. I look at my fiance where we're watching the game. I tell her, I can't believe we're so good.
Yeah.
We are a good team this year.
Great team.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome, Mark. And I appreciate, Mark, you sharing this experience. I mean, it is a little bit like, I think it's pretty cool. Like, you were there for your 0-16 Rory. Dan Campbell was there for 0-16 as a player, a tight end on that team. I mean, we don't have any pipeline to Dan, but wouldn't it be cool if we get Dan? Maybe he watches us. Invite Mark for one hoorah, right? Get out there, maybe Super Bowl or something. No, obviously we're joking, but anyways. Just thought it would bring kind of a moment of levity, some fun. Mark, we love you. We love you having you on the team, and wish I would have been at a Lions game with you, with knowing you back then and been to experience that. So obviously we're just having fun, but if you do have questions about real estate, Mark and I are obviously here to serve you. So call us at 517-303-3262. Thanks for tuning in.
Go Lions.
Go Lions.
Live the home selling